Living in a changing world with the changing people, with the changing times, I'm presenting the unchangeable Christ. In my world, the supernatural is natural and nothing is impossible if you believe. In my world, you're going to have to be very careful what you think because thoughts becomes things. I'm Conrad Santa. And today we're continuing from where we ended up. We were talking about how long can you wait for your prayer to be answered. How long can you wait? We mentioned previously, we say that Noah waited for 120 years. Abraham waited for 25 years for the promise to be fulfilled. Jacob waited for Rachel for 14 years. Joseph waited for 13 years. Even though put in prison for something that he did not do, yet he maintained an excellent spirit. How long can you wait for your answer to come, yet maintaining a good and a sweet and a good attitude amongst the people around you? He waited. Joseph waited until the time came when God fulfilled the promise. Remember, when God promises, he fulfills his promise. It's not like a man. Man is wishy-washy. Man can promise but never fulfills. God promises and he fulfills his promises. Then Moses waited for 40 years. 40 years he waited. David, from the time the promise was given to the top, from the time he was anointed to the time he took up the throne, he waited for 12 years to get to the throne. Jesus waited for 30 years for his ministry to kick. How long are you willing to wait for whatever you've been praying for and trusting and believing God for? Remember, if you wait, good things comes to the people that wait. Remember a long time ago, I think it's in the book of John, the Bible declares that there was the pool of Bethesda there was a man, an impotent man who was there. He was a quadriplegic man. He was there for 38 years. Think about that. 38 years at the pool of Bethesda. He was lying there. He was a quadriplegic man. I think that maybe even the people gave him a name. They started calling him by the condition that he has, just like today. Whatever you're going through, people call you by that name. They say, the man with financial problems, the woman with sickness. They give you the name. The woman with cantankerous and rambunctious children. The man who has financial problems, the man with no car, the man with this. So people will always marginalize you. They'll always stigmatize you. You always be stigmatized. They'll always categorize you because of the things that you're going through. But whatever is happening to you, remember, you have to trust God. Don't get frustrated. Don't get discombobulated. Don't get discouraged. Don't be dismayed, meaning to give up before you even start to fight, because God is going to fulfill his promises. Isaiah chapter 40 verse 31, the Bible says, "They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." So don't faint. Don't be weary in believing God. Trust God. Now, here's the thing. Many of us, we try to compare ourselves with others. When we see others and how others are doing and how things are going in other people's lives, we try to compare that with ourselves. But I want to tell you something. That's a big mistake that you make, because your plan, you are not designed like the same person. We could be the same, created in the image of God, but God has a specific plan for every one of us here. We are all different. For example, if you want to be a doctor, you don't take the course for commandos. You don't try to go and study to try and be the commando. If you want to be a pilot, you don't go and study to agriculture to be a farmer. If you want to be a pilot, you try to go and study to be a pilot. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that God knows exactly what training you gotta have to go through, because he knows exactly what he has called you to be. And therefore it's a mistake for you to try compare yourself with others, because what God has called you is different from what he has called others to do. That's why the things that I go through won't be the same. You cannot be me. I cannot be you, because we are all unique, created in the image of God. And God has different tasks or different callings for us. And what I'm going to go through is not going to be the same thing that you're going to be going through. Because as people, we kind of think we want to work with formulas all the time. We like to use formulas when we are doing things. We try to replicate what we see over there. For example, remember when God called Noah to build the ark, Noah had no reference. The only reference Noah had was God. He had no earthly reference where he could go to and say, excuse me, how did you put your window on that ark there? So I want to copy that so I can go and put on the ark that I have there. He had nothing to do like that. The only place that he had to go back to find out what was supposed to be there was back to God. What am I saying? I'm saying God is the one who called you. God is the one who made you. God is your reference. Ask God. Inquire and ask God. He will direct you. He will show you which way you have to go all the time. Now, there's some of us, because we're always comparing ourselves with others. When you look at others, you think others have gone ahead of us. And then we're thinking, oh, I'm behind. So we're trying to use dubious means and different ways, maybe trying to do deception, which is a presentation of false information to try to make it look as if it's real, and false information and right information to make it as if it's not right. You know, we're trying to walk in deception so we can achieve certain things. I want you to know that that's a wrong way of doing things. Just because your friends have gone ahead, it doesn't mean they've arrived, because God has a way of doing things. And I'll try to use an example here. I like planes. You know, for example, if you were to get on an airplane from Toronto to the city of from Toronto to Vancouver, right? You're coming from Toronto, let me say from Toronto to Edmonton, because it takes about 4 hours airborne flying up from Toronto to the city of Edmonton. Now, if you were flying from the city of Edmonton, from Toronto to here, it takes 4 hours. Now, sometimes in aviation, or sometimes when the plane, if you ever heard of what they call the tailwind is the wind that blows behind the plane, going the same direction where you're going. So that means instead of you using so much fuel or so much power, that wind is also pushing you towards the direction where you are going. What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say to you, that you see, don't look at the friends that have gone ahead already and try to admire them and try to push yourself that way, because God might use a tailwind. So when God sends a tailwind for you, the journey that was supposed to take you 4 hours, when the tailwind comes, the journey that was supposed to take you 4 hours to fly from Toronto to Edmonton, it might take you maybe 3 hours, 30 minutes. That means your time is reduced. So when God sends a tailwind in your life, what was supposed to take years for you to achieve, it might take months for you. God has a way of doing things in your life. So please, people of God, don't compare yourself with others. You're unique the way God made you. Don't worry about them. Rejoice with those who are rejoicing, and cry with those that cry. What am I saying? I'm saying that, be happy for others too. When you're happy for others, God's gonna bless you too. Don't grumble and don't complain, and don't be bitter about others, and don't be jealous of others. Let God just bless you. Let God bless you. He will do it. Now, sometimes when you're flying, when airplanes are about to take off, most of the time you see that an airplane they always go against the wind. And I've always wondered, why do they have always, let's say, for example, if the wind is blowing from the east and it's going west, if an airplane was to take off, it'll go from west to east, where the wind is blowing from, going against the current, because when they go against the current, that headwind, it's called the headwind that is coming, it what it does, it creates lift. So if you were flying up in the air, maybe you're about 32,000 feet up in the air, you're flying against the headwind. That means you'll be using a lot of power to go. It'll be pushing you like backwards, but you're going against the wind. But that's very good for takeoff, because then your runway, like if you're running on the runway, instead of taking so long to run, your running becomes so shorter and your takeoff becomes quicker. What am I saying to you, people of God? I'm saying to you that, every problem that comes your way, every trouble that comes your way, let it be a stepping stone for you to take off from that. Don't grumble, don't complain, don't give up. Continue waiting on God and see what God is going to do, because that wind will take you higher. Now, sometimes, when it comes to playing this, what they call the crosswind. Now, the crosswind is sometimes, let's say, if you were to land and there's a crosswind, the crosswind is the wind that blows against an airplane. For example, if you are going to land this way, crosswind is blowing this way, it might take you off the way so that you veer in a different way. But what the pilots do is that they maintain the course, they stay focused, they put the plane, the nose, they point it to the direction where they're going, so that even when the crosswind comes, it might push them like this. Once it stops over, the plane stabilizes and sticks to the same direction at the same place where they want it to be. And many of us in our lives today, we're going to have crosswinds. But when crosswinds comes, remember, always stay focused. Now, crosswinds in lives, they come in different formation. They come in through discouragement of what you're doing in your life. You're praying and you're asking God to do something, and you feel like things are not going the same direction the way you're praying that they should go. And therefore, now you begin to get discouraged instead of staying focused on God, staying focused on what He has promised. Remember, when God promises, He fulfills His promises. So stay in God and stay in His Word and continue praying, continue believing, continue trusting Him, because in due time, your answer will come to you. So never, 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 never give up. I like planes, people of God. Faith is like flying an airplane. If you go in an airplane, you're sitting in a cockpit, maybe of a 747, you sit in the cockpit there. If you look at the control panels and the stuff that they have in there, and then you are flying in the night, and you're looking through the window to see through the window to see what's coming ahead of you. You know what? It's amazing. It's so scary, because you could see, you're just seeing dark. There's nothing. And even though it's dark, but yet you're going 600 miles per hour flying in the dark, you don't know what is coming. And I know, of course, they have those instruments, the air collision avoidance system that is on there, because they're totally dependent upon the control panels that are there, upon the control panel, the instruments that are on the control panel as they're flying that airplane. So they're not seeing sometimes in the night, there's not having a visual completely of what is out there. You could see the stars, you could see maybe the moon, depending on whatever it is, but there is totally nothing that is coming there. You are going that fast in the dark. And the only thing that they rely upon is the instruments that are on the control panel there, that they're telling them where they're going. So it's the same with you as a child of God. Guess what, brother, sister? Guess, my brother, my sister, wherever you are right now, you have the Holy Spirit inside you. You might not see what is happening. You might not have a visual of the things around you, but you just know that the promises of God are yes and amen. The things that God has promised inside your heart, don't give up. You continue going forward and you stay focused. You believe what is inside there. You trust the voice of the Spirit inside you. That will guide you to your destination wherever you are going, because God, He says what He says, He brings to pass. So even when it comes to your prayer, how long are you willing to wait for your prayer to be answered? Well, as long as it takes for it to be answered, I'll pray and I'll trust in God. Now, if you don't wait, people of God, disaster may occur in your life, and that's the problem many of us go through here. I'll give you of a story what happened many years ago. One of the most deadliest aviation accident happened in March the 27th, 1977. There was a Pan Am flight 173 with service to Gran Canaria, and coming from Los Angeles, California, to the Gran Canaria Islands. And the Gran Canaria Island is actually the bunch of islands over the coast of Africa. They're called the Canary Islands there. And it used to be an old Spanish colony many years ago. So there were a bunch of them that are together. There's the Gran Canaria, then there's Tenerife and others. So this plane, this flight 1736 was coming from California, Los Angeles, California, with service to the Gran Canaria. And on the way as they were flying, there were the air traffic controllers told them that, you know what, you're going to have to change course. You're going to have to go to a different island. You're not going to go to the Gran Canaria Island. You're going to go to Tenerife. That's where you're going to go and land over there. And in that little Tenerife, there was only one, like it's kind of only one runway that was there. Like it's only one, or that is there even now. Probably maybe they've improved it. I'm not sure. So it's just like that. So that airplane went and landed there. And many of the planes that were supposed to be going to the Gran Canaria were being directed to Tenerife there. And it's not a big airport, it's very small, so bigger planes. And then while that happened, there was another 747 that was a KLM by Captain Jacob van Zandam, and it had 394 people on board, and that plane also was redirected there, and on only one runway there, like, and the other one went to the other side. But Captain Jacob van Zandam did not know that there was another plane over there. So he was told to wait, because on the Gran Canaria Island there was a bomb that they were clearing. That's why they were directing everybody to come here. And in that moment when they were waiting, Captain Jacob van Zandam is a very experienced man, you know, flying KLM, that Dutch airline there, flying that all the time, everywhere he went, that they trusted him so much. So the control tower, the air traffic control, told him to wait. He could not go anywhere. They told him hold and wait. But he looked at the runway, says it's clear there's nothing there. So he decides to put that airplane in full throttle, you know, going at 290 miles an hour, taking off at kilometers an hour to take off. And as he was trying to take off, he just saw another 747 that was the Pan Am flight 17 that was down there, and he could not clear it because he did not wait. He did not obey the instructions that he was told, and he couldn't clear it. He just collided into that other plane. And you know what? All people died in the other plane, and this other plane, they all died. Only 61 were survived. Why? Because someone was not willing to wait. If you're not willing to wait, you might end up in disaster. Waiting is something that we need to do. Just wait. When you pray for something, wait on God. When you wait on God, you see the goodness of God. You see his results come to pass. So never get discouraged, but just wait. When you wait, good things comes to those that wait. I am Conrad Santa, living in a changing world with the changing people, with the changing times. I'm presenting the unchangeable Christ, and in my world, the supernatural is natural, and nothing is impossible if you believe. Remember, wait. How long are you willing to wait for your prayers to be answered? Just wait. Wait and wait, and you see the goodness of God in the land of the living. We'll see you later, right here on Glory TV. Stay blessed.